Live from Whitney Media, 1460 WVOX, The Greenburgh Report, with Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner. You can join in the conversation at 914-636-0110. Now on 1460 WVOX, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hey, Westchester, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and co-hosting the program is Pauline Mosley, a professor at Pace, and we have a really interesting program. There's so much negativity in the news, and we want to focus on something that's really, positive. There's a group of Ardsley residents, and they have started an initiative called Ardsley Cares. And on October 29th, 2022, a number of Ardsley residents will be donating their time trying to help make the world a better place, make it better for their neighbors. So our guests today are Sarika Shorla and Lindy Lipka, and they're co-chairs of the Ardsley Care Initiative. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Could you maybe start by just telling us a little bit about, Ardsley Cares?
Sure. So Ardsley Cares Day actually goes back to 2008. We've been around for 14 years, and it was an initiative brought together by the community, from parents, the PTA, local businesses, as a way to give back together as a community. And then the pandemic hit, and we couldn't gather. So Lindy and her team really pivoted very quickly to create Ardsley Cares All Year, which was an ongoing sort of services and initiatives throughout the year. But we're back this year with our big one-day event. We're going to have hundreds of families, children, all ages coming together at the middle school and throughout the community to give back to the community in different ways.
Welcome. Yes, good morning. This is such a phenomenal initiative as pioneers of caring. I wanted to know, can someone from another town participate? And if so, how would they do that?
Well, it's run for the schools, and we have been very lucky to have the support of the schools and the village and the PTA. And of course, Paul Feiner was one of our first supporters of the first year. And although it is at the school, if friends wanted to show up and help, they're welcome to. And if you want to donate things and you're from outside the community, we are really looking for donations. We have a whole list on our PTA's Ardsley Cares website. It's under events on the Ardsley PTA website. And really what we're hoping, though, is that people can expand this idea into their own communities. A lot of people want to volunteer but don't really have the time for ongoing commitment, but everybody can do a one-day give back event, and everybody can have that good feeling and bring that to their own communities. And if every community in Westchester, and heck, if every community in the world had a one-day everybody do something nice day, I think that would be a great method to get everyone involved.
Could you talk a little bit about some of the volunteer activities?
Yeah, we have, I think, about 20. I meant to count before, but I didn't get to it. We have about 20 activities, and every year that Ardsley Cares has been going on, it's been different things. Sometimes it's things that are timely, and sometimes it's just general things. This year we have a cleanup at the Greenburgh Nature Center where they're going to be learning about sheep mulching and starting a meadow. And we have sorting of canned goods for the hungry in Westchester. We have kids are going to be doing a parade at the new Chelsea Greenburgh Senior Center in their Halloween costumes. We are...
You mean basically just making seniors feel more appreciated and giving them something to look forward to.
Exactly. It'll be a cheerful thing, and it's a way that the very youngest members of our community can feel that they are participating and doing something nice for others. And maybe they can't sort canned goods because they're 5, but they can make a senior smile. And
it's also a way they could start early by doing something nice, and then as they get older, they could do different things.
And there's a lot of research that shows when families volunteer together and when young children are brought into the process early, it's something that stays with them as a value throughout their life.
And a lot of these kids have grown up with Ardsley Cares Day, so now we have high schoolers who are leading initiatives, kids whose parents ran it's collecting toiletries to create packages for people in need, toothbrushes, washcloths, that kind of thing. Their parents ran these things. Now they're doing it themselves as seniors in high school. So it's really it's special to see how much it's internalized in the kids of the community, and it's now a part of who we are.
We're going to have to take a break. Do you have a website?
If you go to the Ardsley School PTA page under Ardsley Cares Day, there's information there. We also have a Facebook page. If you like us there, everything is posted immediately. That
is great. So it's Ardsley Cares Day, October 29th, 2022. It's at the Ardsley Middle School and other locations from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I'm Paul Feiner with Pauline Mosley, and we'll be right back in 5 minutes.
WVOX. Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and Pauline Mosley is co-hosting the show, and we're talking about Ardsley Cares Day. And the date is October 29th at the Ardsley Middle School and other locations at 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the purpose is for people to give back. Are most of the volunteers students?
Well, students, but they come with their parents because we go all the way from elementary school to high school. So most of the people come as an entire family and volunteer together.
That is great. You have a question?
Yes, I do. If someone wishes to donate, what is the process or procedure?
Okay, here, let me get ready for this. All right, we need lots of donations. We've got hundreds of people ready and willing to spend that day sorting through clothing, books, canned goods, non-perishable foods, and also toiletries. So we've broken it up. The toiletries we're collecting currently at Concord Road School. And then we're going to have boxes in all the schools in Ardsley, as well as the police department. So if you're outside of the community and you want to just drop off in a box in the police department, that's from October 25th through 28th, and at the schools from October 22nd onwards. So we're looking for warm clothes, fall and winter gear, coats, socks, and then also non-perishable foods, and then children's books for our book swap. And then for the eye cares kits, we're looking for travel-sized like toothbrushes, toothpaste, toiletries, body wash, that kind of thing, washcloths, and these are all going to get beautifully organized, delivered by hand to all the partners.
Wow, thank you.
And I also wanted to say that one of the retirement centers is looking for large quantities of nail polish, because one of the activities they like to do with their residents on an ongoing basis is they like to polish their nails, so they're looking for light colors and not neon green probably, but nice colors of new nail polish for Cabrini. And also all of the donations, we're hoping for that they are in good, clean, wearable condition so that they're going to be able to go right out to the people that need them immediately. We're not able to handle repairing them. We also are looking for a foster teen employment network. There are teens aging out of foster care. We're trying to help them out. They need working laptops. I know that's a big ask, but if the community has working laptops that they're not using, these foster teens are going to be entering the workforce, and they need all the support they could get.
That is great. I was curious, because this is such a nice thing what you're doing. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you want to organize this?
Well, I didn't organize anything. I just hopped on board. But I moved to Ardsley / Greenburgh 4 years ago. And so I was working in the city. I was commuting. So I wasn't really spending a lot of time out and about in the community. And then the pandemic hit. And so there was no going anywhere. And so coming out of all that and now working from home, I realized that this is my chance to actually build my community and find my village. So by joining this, it was to organize something, it takes a lot of time, a lot of months, a lot of hours. But as a community to join for one day to come together, it's a great point of entry. It's a great way to just meet people, meet your child's friends, classmates, that kind of thing, also other parents. And it's a wonderful sort of event to bring people together where you have something in common and a shared goal.
And when did you get involved?
Should I tell my little story?
Go for it.
All right. So my friend Melissa, who we're friends because our children are friends, went to a PTA meeting a little over 2 years ago, and the PTA said, "Would you like to volunteer?" And she said, "Sure. What would you like to do?" "I don't know. What do you need?" She said, "Can you run Ardsley Cares Day?" She said, "Sure." So she signed me up as her co-chair. I wasn't there. She saw me later. She says, "Guess what? We're going to co-chair Ardsley Cares Day together." I said, "Melissa, do you know what Ardsley Cares Day is?" She said, "No, not really." I said, "Okay."
Oh, wow.
It's a big project. But I will say that through 2 years of intimate involvement, and 1 year through the pandemic, and we ran an event every month during the pandemic. Couldn't do the one day big thing, but we did an event every month, at least one, sometimes more. And it's been so much more rewarding than I ever would have expected. And I've learned so much, and I've met so many people, and it's definitely brought me closer to the community. And yeah, it's been a good experience.
It must take like many, many hours.
Yes, it takes many, many hours. And I think it becomes a little bit of a job, but there's a lot of people helping, and thank goodness we found Sarika, because I really don't know what I would have done. I might have run away to Brazil or something, but the more people that help, many hands make light work, and so we've been roping people in as we can, and that's
great.
We got Sarika.
That's great.
So somebody gets to Ardsley Middle School, say at 1:00 on the 29th, and they did not pre-register or anything. What happens?
Well, it's over at 1:00, so they're going to end up at Trunk or Treat instead.
Trunk or Treat's another good event. It's coming right on our heels. So,
if they haven't registered, we can always use the hands, but we prefer that they sign up. So if you go to the PTA website, there's a sign-up genius. You just drop your name in any slot. We've got slots that are 2 hours long, some that are 30 minutes. If you just want to bring your child to the library to be read to, you can do that. There's all sorts of ways you can get involved.
That's great. What advice would you give other towns if they wanted to try to emulate this phenomenal initiative of caring and connecting their community? What advice would you give for them to try to start something on a smaller scale?
One thing that I was kind of amazed by is one of my first forays into community service is that when you tell people as a community to do something, they do it. If you just put it out there that we are doing this on this day, who wants to help, here's a sign up, people will help. They will jump in and help you. Sarika, do you have more to say about that?
Yeah, this brings me back to during the pandemic when you ran the Midnight Run initiative. And it really was just emails coming out saying, hey, we need this, hey, we need this. Suddenly, everyone was jumping in to help. And you delivered how many pounds? Boxes?
I don't know. So many cars full of stuff that we got. And we were panicked the whole time that nobody was going to donate. And we were literally overwhelmed with stuff.
Yeah, well, I helped organize a formula drop-off at the town hall. And people are still dropping off formulas as of yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And it's been every single day. We just left a bin there, and I'm stunned because I thought it wasn't going to be successful, but it's just really amazing how some people want to help out. Good, we're going to be back in a couple minutes. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor, Ardsley Cares Day, October 29th.
Now, back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Good. I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and I want to thank WVOX for giving us the opportunity to participate. And a couple of weeks ago, we interviewed Pauline Mosley, who's co-hosting the show now. And although Ardsley Cares is Ardsley based, you also have been doing volunteer work with your church.
Absolutely. We do a lot of volunteer work, very similar to what Ardsley Cares Day is doing, because caring is very contagious. And as you hear from our guest today, it's just wonderful to connect to the community, serve the community, and give back to the community. It's like momentum that just keeps on giving. Even after the day is over, people are still connected and people are still caring. And so one of the questions that I had for our guest today is, this is one of the largest community volunteer events, and it requires a lot of strategic planning and vision. And could you share with our audience how far back do you actually start planning this particular day and this event, and share with us some other thoughts of, this event, the fruits of this wonderful event that you do?
So I would say that we did not go about it the way it's normally done. What happened in our case was Melissa, the leader of the group here, she was told that she had this position in September and had no idea what she was taking on, and we were about to run this during a pandemic, which we didn't know. And so we kind of flew by the seat of our pants for the first year, and then we kind of started planning for this year then, and hoping that the pandemic would be over, but of course nobody knew. So we have been reaching out to the people that have run it for years past, even people that are no longer in the community, and finding out what they did and learning from them. And luckily, everyone has been wonderful about sharing with us what their best tips were. And although we are one of the biggest community give back events, there are a lot of other communities surrounding us that do similar things. Like, I believe it's Hastings does a midnight run every month, or maybe more frequently than that. And a lot of Westchester residents really get it that we all can do something.
Yeah, we have a Snow Angels program started over 30 years ago, and and a lot of the students from Ardsley High School have been really involved, and they've done like a really great job just volunteering their services, clearing people's driveways of snow. We have a Landscape Angels program also headed by Ardsley. Students now, where the students are going to be volunteering their time doing landscaping for seniors who can't afford landscapers. Sometimes you see homes where the grass is like 10 feet high. It's an eyesore. So there's like a lot of good people, and it offsets some of the bad in the world. So do some of the students get credit for their volunteerism from the schools?
We have not delved into that through Ardsley Cares Day, but I know that some of the clubs have offered. So, for example, there was just a post the other day that if you want volunteer hours, you could do something. I forgot what it was. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of opportunities, and we can give credit. But so far, people haven't really asked. I think that they are just showing up because they sincerely want to be able to give something to the community.
And it's sort of like a good mob mentality, because you're using mob. Sometimes people are joiners, and if everybody in the community does something, they sort of join. And you see a lot of the mob mentality with NIMBYism, and people sometimes become real negative. But this is all positive energy, which I think is really great. So
it's fun to volunteer as a group. When we did, for example, the sorting for Midnight Run, I met some great people that I otherwise might not have met, especially right after a pandemic. But, it's fun. You make jokes, you clean stuff, and it's all ages coming together, and the kids meet each other and get to see each other out of context. And my little one, who I think was 10 or 11 at the time, got to meet some kids that she really looked up to before she, went to school the next year, and then she felt like a big shot because she knew the bigger kids.
I wonder if there's any, college graduates or whatever who feel that this has actually helped change their lives for the better.
I did see a post about that. Somebody was saying that they did, it was, again, tied to Midnight Run, but he said he did it in high school. He's an adult now, member of the community, but he remembers doing it in high school, and he said it was life-changing. So something like this where you see, the idea of Ardsley Cares Day is to look around town and see hundreds of people wearing their purple T-shirts or Ardsley Cares T-shirts, really actively being hands-on. And so I think that feeling is something that really can't be matched unless you experience it for yourself. And suddenly you are, not just in a community, you're a part of it.
I think a lot of the people who start getting involved do so because they had that memory as a child of volunteering with their parents or the opportunity. And like you were saying, that people often do this with their church or other community groups. And there are a lot of people that don't belong to a church, or their church maybe doesn't do it, or their synagogue or whatever organizations they belong to, and they want to have that, and maybe they can't do it every week, but they can do something, and everybody wants to be able to do something good.
And you're right, and it makes people feel good at the end of the day about themselves, because people are busy with work or busy trying to make money, and now they feel that they're doing something good for society.
And I remember when we first started doing this, and I was a little overwhelmed. I had so many things going on, and Melissa said, you know what, don't work on Ardsley Cares. Work on the stuff you need to do. And I was like, no, Ardsley Cares is the only thing I want to work on. This is my recreational time. I do not want to think about all of the other impending things. So it's nice to work on something that's so positive.
Were you always involved, like, in volunteerism, even as a student?
I mean, when I was young, yes, my parents got me into that world. So I did do a lot of volunteering as a child, not so much as I got older. I've said this to Lindy a lot, I'm an introvert. And so it makes me uncomfortable to join a group of people that I don't know and be like, okay, how can I help? I just get awkward and uncomfortable. So this kind of event and just, joining anything in general, you find your extrovert friend who's going to adopt you, and that's Lindy. And so they get you deeper into that world. And then you can pass it on to your kids. I think that's the most important thing, is starting it young.
One of I had a strange childhood, but one of the most enduring memories I have was my mother gave a banana to a homeless guy. She stopped and pulled over her car and took her banana out of her lunch bag and gave it to a homeless guy. And I was shocked. I remember I was little. I was like 7. And I was shocked at the interaction. And it really changed my view of a lot of things. I was like, oh, homeless people are people. And it really makes you think about, what's happening to people who are less fortunate, and how lucky I am that I have the things I have. I have clothes and a roof over my head, but not everybody does. And I think it's everybody's responsibility to help where we can.
Yeah, well, what motivated me was when I was like 5 years old or 6 years old. My grandfather, Benjamin Fuchs, he told me that when he was he was an immigrant from like the Russian, Polish, area. And he actually came to the United States in the early part of the 1900s, and he sponsored five immigrants, and he sponsored them. And I remember when he passed away, somebody wrote a letter to my mother saying he formed a department store, a large department store, and it was because of my grandfather, because my grandfather gave him the chance, and that motivated me to want to give back and do things for other people.
That's wonderful, and you do so many things, and it is a great feeling, and it's you never know, maybe the guy that you give a can of food to, or a warm coat that sustains that person, and maybe they're able to recover from the troubles that they're going through and help others. So
right, and also I think people should recognize that they may be fortunate today, but they may need help tomorrow.
Exactly.
And everybody at times has issues and difficulties and has to overcome obstacles. So by giving back, you put yourself in the position of the other person, because there may be somebody who's homeless and you could have been homeless.
Exactly.
And we have to teach our children and involve our children in not taking for granted what situation other people might be going through.
Right. But I think that it's really what I think is also nice about this is that somebody is shy, and it's like a way of making friends, and it's not it's a different way of reaching out to the community, because you might not have actually gotten involved, say, in at a meeting, a community meeting, but this is a way that you're able to give back and get to know people, and at the same time make friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great. We have to take another break, and then we'll be back in 3 minutes. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and I want to remind everybody, October 29th, 2022, Ardsley Middle School and other locations, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., and it's really going to be a lot of fun.
WVOX. Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Paul Feiner, I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor with Pauline Mosley, and our guests are Sarika Sharla and Lindy Lipka, and they're co-chairs of the Ardsley Cares Day, and that's going to be October 29th. And it's from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., and it's going to be at the Ardsley Middle School and other locations. I'm sort of wondering, you could be spending so much time, all your time, on a business. You could be making a lot of money for the amount of time you're spending, and here you're donating your time,
Yes.
and you're not getting any financial rewards out of this. Are there benefits to volunteerism that make it worthwhile to give up business?
It's a lot of time, and the reason I joined was to be more connected to my kids' schools and community. But I'm like, I'm busy now. I can't talk. I gotta make this flyer. And they know. They're like, I said Ardsley Cares. I'm like, yes, okay, well, it's okay. We'll get through it. But I have a full-time job. I have 2 young kids. I have an ill dog. I have all sorts of things that sort of take up my time and my needs. What this is doing for me, it's not just the feeling of doing good. I mean, we all want that, but it's showing me what my skills are. I work in marketing. And so for me to be able to say, oh, wait, I know how to do this. I can actually use my expertise to help other people, and they're like, cool, that's sure, run with it. That's also really satisfying. So taking your skill sets and being able to apply it to an activity like this is really rewarding. And so the things that we're doing at the site on that day, I mean, it's organizing, it's, coordinating other people, it's, driving deliveries to get them to the place. So whatever skills you can provide, we can take the support.
And this is why I'm so, so grateful to Sarika, because I don't have any skills. I'm a flight attendant, and none of my skills apply to any of this. So I'm just winging
She has
it.
passion, enthusiasm, and endless amounts of energy.
Speaking of things that people have, we really are hoping that somebody will donate some time to drive our deliveries to their locations. So if you happen to have a truck and you're listening to this and you would like to come into Ardsley Cares Day, please get in touch with us.
And you can live anywhere.
You can live anywhere.
Anywhere in the world, right?
And, so I think really people have something to contribute, no matter who they are, no matter what they have. Everybody can contribute something, whether you have a truck or whether you have a coat that you're not using or whether you have some spare time. All of these things are contributions, and we can all come together to do good with what we have.
I think that's really really amazing. I think what you're doing is really so inspirational.
Very inspirational.
Thank you.
And you're really an example of the old adage, it's more blessed to give than to receive. And what your town is doing is really, really exemplifying that adage of what a community is. So many times we use the term community, or we say, I care, but you're actually living proof and demonstrating what care is what community is. You're really bringing another level of excellence to what a community should be and how to connect people to a community. Because especially coming out of the pandemic, where so many people have been disconnected and so many people have been isolated, to have a whole day and have a whole community and have a whole movement of care and love and connection, and to be so diverse. We talk about diversity and inclusion, but when I look on your website and I see all of the various organizations and municipalities that you have inspired to take time to contribute to the community, that's what strengthens the community. And by doing so, you have inspired all of the neighboring towns and communities and municipalities to follow suit. So we're so thankful to have you pioneers of caring as young women leading the charge, not just caring in your homes, but now you've taken that care to the actual community, and it's just a domino effect. And it's a wonderful thing you're doing. So thank you.
I have to give some credit to Mayor Nancy Kabulian, who is our village mayor, and she also does a lot to make our community closer.
Yes.
And I think that also was an inspiration. And also, it's one of those things where you meet somebody at an event that the village is organizing, or you meet someplace and you have a little acquaintanceship, but you don't really know how to move it further and become a tighter community and have more deep relationships. And this is one of those things that brings you there, where you could say, hey, would you like to volunteer for this or that? And
we should also thank our local businesses, because they're also heavily involved. I mean, the sign that's hanging up in the middle of town is by a woman named Deborah Wiskin, who's an Ardsley mom, and her company is DJ Design, and she does tchotchkes. She makes, she made the sign, she made buttons, tattoos that are going to go to all the kids for being Ardsley Cares Day superheroes. We've got local businesses donating pizzas, we've got donuts, all of our communities coming together because it helps the economy. We give back to each other, and we're going to be buying supplies to provide us for donations. This is all a working system together.
That was great. I was sort of curious. You're in marketing, and as if there was like something negative, if you had like 300 people protesting, News 12, Channels 4, Channel 7, everybody would show up. But this is something that's really positive. So positive. Do you get the same media attention when you have hundreds of people doing good as if you had hundreds of people doing bad?
That's a great angle. I might pitch that.
And I have to say, the first year, Megan Prunty Edelstein, who was one of the founders of Ardsley Cares Day in 2008, she says that they panicked. They were sleepless nights for days because they thought no one would show up, and they had 100 people signed up for that first year, and 300 people showed up that first year. They were astounded, and it's been growing and growing ever since. And now there have been thousands of people involved. So,
and when you were talking about Ardsley and the mayor and some of the positive things, one of the things I always steal all the ideas from the village of Ardsley, because I'll see that they're doing something about diversity. They'll do something at the middle school. They'll have different ethnic, events, and they're really a community that is trying really hard to be inclusive and to make people feel welcome, which is sort of way more than practically any other community that I know of.
Except Greenburgh, which is also doing that.
What happens is I'll see a flag that the mayor will have on Ashford Avenue, and then after I'm driving, I'll say, "Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that?" And then I'll panic. I'll say, "Oh, I can't believe that I'm not focused on."
So maybe it's competitive caring is what's happening here. Is each community caring. You go, "Oh, I want to be that good," and then everybody is trying to outdo their goodness.
And Greenburgh and Ardsley is really becoming a diverse. It's a diverse, welcoming, community, and I think that's really, very, very, really important. So she has definitely inspired me, and I should mention I usually don't compliment a lot of politicians, but I think very highly of Nancy. So if people want to volunteer, how do they go about doing so?
So they can visit our website, which is ardsleypta.org/ardsleycares, and the sign up is right there. So you can just click on it and then find the slot that fits your schedule or the activity. There's also a Facebook page. Just look for Ardsley Cares on Facebook, and we'll keep updating for all of our needs and slots that are open. And come help out.
And if you Google Ardsley Cares Day, you'll get there.
That is, that is great. And again, people could show up without
RSVPing, yes, you could definitely show up without RSVPing. We will find something useful for you to do, and you will feel good about it. And if you want to bring items to donate on that day or before, you can do that as well. Should I repeat that information, or if we?
Yeah, maybe could you repeat just the items?
Yeah,
that you
actually,
need?
yes, for sure. So we're looking for warm fall and winter clothings and coats. We're looking for non-perishable food, canned foods and dried beans, that kind of thing. Children's books, and then items. Our goal is to create 500 kits for Coachman Family Shelter, and so that involves travel-sized toiletries, toothbrushes, toothpaste, washcloths, just little comfort kits. And we are going to assemble that day and hand deliver.
We're also looking for women's shelters are looking for new twin bed sheets. When the women are able to go out on their own, they're hoping to let them go with their bed sheets, and they are looking for full-size toiletries such as shampoos and lotions to help them feel comforted when a lot of times they are leaving really bad domestic abuse.
So basically, in closing, Lindy Lipka and Sarika Strola are the Greenburgh equivalent of Mother Teresa.
Oh, yes. I don't know if we want to go there.
Yes. We can always do a little bit to get a little closer to that example.
Yeah, so. and we can't forget about Melissa, who is really leading the charge in all this. But yeah, we're a group of moms who just want to make the world better for our kids.
And have fun at the same time.
Exactly.
And that's also usually the people who are modest are really deserving of being recognized. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll see you on October 29th.
Yay!
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Pioneers of Caring.
And we'll have Andrea Stewart-Cousins hopefully leading the cheer that she started in 2008 of Ardsley Cares. So who cares? Ardsley Cares.
Nice. Terrific. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.